Welcome back. If you just tuned in, this is the Daybreak Africa. Earlier, we said we will bring in an economist to the studio to do some justice to a very wonderful topic that has been lingering on the mind and on the lips of every individual if you're a citizen of Nigeria, talking about the fuel subsidy remover. Today we have FELIX EZEKIEL in the studio, a friend of the house, to do justice to this wonderful topic. A very good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, friends. Good morning, Nigerians.
Yeah, Mr. FELIX, it's been a while.
So the way the economy is going, everybody just have to make sure you get something to focus on.
Of course.
So that you'll be taking on our ways.
Seriously.
And of course, as Nigerians, it's more like we don't run out of things to discuss. I mean, recently I was just checking things facing Nigerians, and I came across the $800 million said to be given to 50 million most impoverished Nigerians. I mean, and we are not really certain as to the modalities of that, how they intend putting that in place. I mean, and all that. And then talking about subsidy from 2015 to 2021, the federal government has spent about 13.69 trillion on subsidy removal. In 2022 alone, the NNPC alone spent $10 billion. Now, I remember the last time you were here, we discussed at length. I mean, I think two different occasions.
Yeah.
You see of the redesigning of the currency, and we spoke about the timing and how we feel is going to help Nigerians. Just before going to subsidy, I want us to just talk about that redesigning one more time. Okay. Now, because I remember you were, should I say the forerunner, one of the forerunners? You were more like an advocate.
It was really, it was a vocal support.
I must say. Now, at this point, I mean, can we really say it actually, its course was fulfilled, or did we have a misfire at some point?
Or subdued?
Generally, policies are meant for human beings.
Of course.
The design of the policy may be different from the application of the policy. So what is the intention of those ones? What is the intention of the CBN and the government? Because CBN and the presidency, they sign. Then the reaction of the populace. So for political reasons, economy does not work. The economy does not work in vacuum. It works with politics. So the balance between politics and the economy matters a lot, and those are the things that actually affect the economies of the world. So some economies that may understand it, the practices, the way they design it, they will get their full results. So where there is it's truncated, they may not get the full result. Like that of a design, very beautiful policy, very beautiful process, very beautiful timing. But people look at it in different ways.
The timing tends to be an issue. Now, I mean, if you look at this policy,
it was an issue because of politics. It was actually an issue because of politics. Because there is no best timing for anything. Is it now that are supposed to do it? Is it when they're about to swear in? Is it immediately after swearing in? When?
But I think talking about the timing, if you ask most Nigerians right now, they will say it was majorly done because of the election. Vote buying, and that is what everybody just feels like. But I feel like we should be talking about the economic value that is going to give to the country. But now it feels like after the election is over, they come back and say, okay, you can go to the bank, you can withdraw, the money will be returned to the bank. I feel like the policy has been defeated.
It's more like the entire point was vote buying and not really stabilizing our.
Excuse me. You know that these policies came from CBN and from the government. Who stopped it? It's not the CBN. They were forced to stop it because they have to mount pressure on them, go to court, take court order. As they continue to mount pressure, that is the will of the people, that the people say it should be this way. Ordinarily, did you see even when before CBN could make pronouncement to say let's now start using the other one, it took time. So just like in a family, you are asked to guard a particular area, and this is the best thing to do, which you are doing. Suddenly your father, a friend of the father of the house, there is a gang up, they say we must stop this, we no go agree, we no go agree. Instead of allowing a total crumble of the system, then you allow them to go. But eventually there is no way that we will not come back to it.
Let's talk about the timing as regarding subsidy removal at this point. It's understandable subsidy removal has to saves money. I mean, that is more like it's a
let's believe.
the entire subsidy removal thing is just to actually make us understand we need to save money and invest that money into something different. And I think Nigeria as a country have issues, serious issues when it comes to timing, appropriate timing. We just managed to, are we still scaling through, or we scaled through the issue of the currency?
We are not.
Let's use the word scaling.
We are still scaling, trying to scale through.
We are still in the process.
We're still in the process of scaling through the issue of the Naira redesign and its effects, the impact on our economy, on households, generally on businesses, both small and medium scale businesses. And now we have the issue of subsidy. Do you think this timing is actually right, or is it that Nigerians generally have issues when it comes to timing?
The issue of subsidy too. I think that Naira design came up with its own peculiarities. Then discussion about subsidy did not start today. It has been in process. When subsidy started, it was only for a very short time, within 3 months. From 3 months extended to 6 months, from there to 1 year, to 2 years, to a decade, and now running to decades. So, and after weighing the consequences, after weighing the application of the subsidy, after weighing a lot of things, government on their own said, okay, let's see what we are going to do. Can we cope financing this continuously? What is our income? What is the nature of our expenses? What is the load or the weight of this subsidy on us? Who is benefiting from it and who is losing? How is it affecting the entire sector of the economy? So those are the things they weigh. They say, okay, let's try to plan. From last year, when they were mapping out budget, they planned that we are going to earmark, I think, 3.something trillion for January to June. Then after June, that we may not be able to continue with subsidy, which implied that from June it may stop. Then that triggered the December, January fuel issue. Till today, there is fear now. Those ones that have been benefiting heavily from the subsidy, will they continue to benefit? Some of them, in one way or the other, what they are benefiting is affecting the way they bring in crude. So the timing, I would still say, is relative. If we say it's okay, but there is pressure in the system now. There is serious problem. By the time we talk of timing for subsidy now, a new government is just coming in. Then Naira design issue, which we were still within the teething problems, the short-run effects affecting nano, micro, small enterprises before it was truncated. So those people that were weighed down, they are yet to rise because of the pressure. So a lot of things. It's going to have both positive and negative effects. The negative effect is going to linger a little more, which may result to some crisis, but the long run, it will be better. It will be better. So removing subsidy now, it may be, if it's a total removal, there's also going to be a major pressure. If it's going to be stepwise, if it's going to be removed stepwise, we don't really know how they want to pronounce it.
But if I may come in here, Mr. Felix, the president-elect, he made it clear right from his manifestos and everything
that he's going to remove it.
And I feel like he's going to be a total remover. Because now if you're looking at the $800 million fund that is coming in, and everything how they are going to be disbursing, which we don't really know the criteria that has been used or the modalities that has been used for it.
That $800 million, is it a dash?
It's a loan. So it's still there. So when we have all these things in mind, and we talked about timing, we don't really know when the timing is right. But you as an economist and the situation that Nigeria economy is facing right now, do you think we should consider a gradual removal instead of the total removal?
No, I just mentioned if it's going to be a stepwise thing or en bloc. But the pronouncement of the president, that was when he was campaigning. Our experience is that campaign pronouncement is different from the real life assessment, because eventually he's going to call his economic team. They are going to weigh it. So what is going to come up later It's not what we can just say now. But we are expecting that there's going to be pressure on removing it. But if they remove it totally, it's going to be a very big tax. So you know, subsidy is something that we're enjoying. By the time you withdraw it, it becomes a tax on the system. When you say tax on the system, who are those ones? A tax on consumers, immediate consumers. And who are the immediate consumers? The poor. They are mainly affected because subsidy is a cushion effect. Apart from the fact that it's helping us, though the negative part of it is financing other economies because we are not producing it here. So it's going to have a heavy load on our very, very informal sector. Very, very informal sector, who in most cases do not even benefit much from this subsidy program. Because if you go to some villages where they have sparsely located filling stations, they sell fuel. Even when others were selling 185, 165, they were selling very close to 200. Now they are still selling close to 300. What is the effect of subsidy? So, and we have a lot of them there. Those ones were not benefiting much, but by the time subsidy is removed, it's going to have a jack-up effect on transportation system instantly and immediately. And once anything happens to transportation system, it's going to affect our agricultural input, movement of our goods and services, especially agricultural products. It's going to have a deep impact on our consumption pattern. Our food consumption is going to affect it. It's going to affect heavily the very poor, heavily in the very short run. But that is the reason why they are thinking that they should bring it so that they will use such money to help those ones that will be affected. But with the records we have in the past, how do they distribute this fund?
Now, even talking about this money that want to be used to help the poor, of course it's on paper. But right now, if we are taking out subsidy, of course there will be money that should be generated from it, which they have promised infrastructure, agriculture, and a lot of things. But right now, since we are transporting our crude for it to be refined and bringing it back, don't you think it's a misplaced priority instead of us trying to work on our own refineries over here?
Of course, we've been flogging this issue continuously. If you are financing what you are not producing, you are financing another economy.
Of course.
And you are buying the cost, extra cost, because they are going to bring in how much you have sold to them. They will bring it and add their own profit to it. So our petroleum crude oil in Nigeria is financing other economies. It's not financing Nigeria because on the average, what we get as returns from crude, compare it to the subsidy, cost of subsidy, and the cost of importation, you see that our open economy is not doing us much good in relation to fuel and fuel activities. So as it is, what I'm looking at is that in our economy, if we don't have modular refineries, if we are not producing, there is still the need to continue to subsidize. If we are not producing it, that means we are financing other economies to the detriment of our own economy. So if we remove the subsidy today, so okay, let's buy at the landing cost. According to Lagos Chamber of Commerce, their report, the landing cost as at 25th, last month, they said 305 naira as the landing cost. The calculation of that is from exchange rate of 460 something or so, you know, which is official rates, which of course is not what is being practiced in the black market system. That means the landing rate is actually more than that 300 and so it may be close to 400. If subsidy is removed immediately and fuel is sold for about 400 naira, remember in the last in some few years back before President Buhari came, we protested when it was jacked up from 80 something to 100 and something. Now to over 200 and something, 300. If we can get it for around that price, around 300 and something, and it's available everywhere, and it's open to everybody, anybody that can import, not just allocating to only very few to import. If government can come up with a very good audit system, then a very good assessment to check the quality of the product that is coming and make it open to people to bring in. And apart from that, encourage modular refineries. Let small refineries come up. Local governments can start refining. State government can start refining if government want to put their hands there. Individuals can start refining, you know, not refining waiting for gigantic projects like that of Dangote. Everybody cannot be Dangote. So if modular refineries is allowed to work, make crude available, sell crude just like you sell other things. If government is making crude available, if you need it, if you want to do pomade that you need crude, if you want to do anything, go to government, apply for it, they give you the quantity you want. If you want to refine it so that you get product, eventually you bring the product to the market. Before it goes to the market, the standard organization will go through.
Of course.
NAFDAC will go through. If it's case through, then the market should have it. We should be talking of policies to control quality and allow the market to play on its own. So the petroleum sector is just so over-regulated that there is no policy that will come in that will become too favorable in the very short run. So it's going to be a major problem on Nigerians. Not only the poor, it's also going to affect the very, very rich. The 1% very, very rich that has been importing these products and collecting subsidy. And they may not be, all of them are working on getting subsidy, even if we are not even seeing the products. Some of these products are coming and returning to other countries, yet they are collecting the subsidy. Those ones will also be affected. Mind you, these ones are also other agents that may fight against the removal of the subsidy. So we want to see how it's going to play out. Remember too, that once this thing happens, as a heavy tax, we've not seen tax that may be as heavy as that. It means it will erode the earning of workers totally. Imagine moving it from 185 to around 400. That's over 200% inflation on your earning. Then it's going to have direct impact on inflation rates, which is going to jack up. There's a consumer price index. It's going to jack up. And once it jack up like that, the cost of living of individuals automatically will increase because food prices will increase, all other things will increase. It means their capacity to earn, to enhance their living by buying with what they earn will be totally reduced. You know, eventually, labor unions will go back to drawing board.
You know, people tend to actually question the preparedness of the government. Now, the government are trying to bring policies as these, talking about the removal of subsidy, and yet there are no adequate infrastructure or facility put in place to ease the effect on the citizens. Do you think this is reasonable?
To me, it's not, because look at it. Like when I started, I said transportation will be a heavy hit. That transportation, if by now we have good transport system and that transport system is subsidized so that individuals can freely move, then a lot of us will not be going for fuel. If I can have transport system going to work, why will I be carrying my car around? I won't carry it. Anywhere I want to go, anywhere my children want to go, we will be able to move around. It becomes easy. Then if the food products from the villages, they can easily move it out. Go and check how much aviation fuel is. Go and check how much is the transport fare from where we are now to the town. Immediately fuel price increase, the transport cost is going to increase automatically. So if there is no anything ready to cushion the effect, the next thing is going to be pressure.
Exactly. So at this point where there is nothing actually ready, nothing put in place, do you still feel the government has the citizen in heart, or you think they are just running politics as usual?
I think this has been a general problem we've been having in Nigeria, starting from absence or limited data to know what we are doing. You know, when you are planning, you know who you are planning for, how many you are planning for, so that you'll be able to get the impact. We are talking of a census. If we are asked now what's the population of Nigeria, we don't know. That is why even to talk of how much we are paying subsidy, we approximate on almost everything. So Data problem is a major one. They will not say that government does, that they do not have the interest of the populace at heart. We will not totally say that. They have the interest of the populace at heart, but they don't know what to prepare down to reduce the effects. I think that's how I see it.
It's safe to say the government are very clueless.
Yes, they are. Of course, they are.
Okay, Mr. Felix, there is no how we want to talk about the subsidy remover that we won't talk about the minimum wage.
Okay.
Now we have it from the from our sources that the government has proposed a 40% rise, that's pay rise, which will commence by ending of April. Now looking at this is a very good news if everybody should just hear. But now, what effect do you think this is going to have on the fuel subsidy remover and the general public's pockets?
Okay, I just mentioned the growth rate of, that is the volatility of petroleum pricing, then the growth rate compared with the expected growth rate in income, 14% to more than 100%. So what happened to over 85% difference? That will be the severity, the problem that the weight is going to have on the people. As at today, as at now in Nigeria, there's what we call misery index. Misery index in Nigeria is close to 53%. The misery index is calculated by addition of the level of unemployment to inflation rates. So as at now, every Nigeria, anytime you work, you get less than 50% of your labor. And from that less than 50% of your labor, there's going to be another heavy tax from petroleum sector. So it's going to really be very, very heavy. It's going to be very, very heavy. There is no way that people will not react. When you are talking of removing subsidy, why can't we talk of creating jobs? If we have a lot of modular refineries, young men, our children that are in schools reading chemistry, industrial chemistry, where is the preparation we're having done for them? Is it only Dangote that is going to employ them? So if we send them to go and read industrial chemistry, go and read microbiology, go and read how to analyze liquids and all those things, at the end we cannot run modular refineries in Nigeria. That means we're also training for people just like what is happening in the medical line too. So it's just unfortunate. If they think of the teeming youth, you can see what is happening everywhere. When youth gather, everybody will feel it. Imagine if they gather more and there is much pressure, it will result to a revolution. If modular refineries can come up, I mentioned it here one time when I came for one program here. Over there in the Niger Delta, you will see government sending military men, sending navy. They will be fighting in the creeks. The unemployed youths, if you refuse to sell crude to them, eventually they start looking for how to burst pipes so that they collect crude. They collect the crude there. They start refining right in the bush, right on top of water. You get there, you destroy everything. Why not, if you can give amnesty to those ones that that we are fighting, why not call this one is another form of amnesty? Call them together. If you can do this, if you are the one refining inside the bush, why are you in the bush? Let me see, give me your output. I don't want to destroy anything. Give me your output. Let me see what you refine. Then go and compare it with what is happening outside. If it's not okay, call NAFDAC to it, call the different agents to it, then call experts. Return back to the universities, tell them to we want to find out, let's find out how these people can do this thing. If you go to different universities, chemistry department, you see them refining. They practice it, they refine. After practicing, why can't they go out to practice? If they can use a small quantity to practice it, why can't they produce small quantities outside? Must we get gigantic refineries? Even the refineries, we can't maintain them. So if we allow those ones to start practicing, just like we're encouraging people to go to the farm, instead of waiting for heavy mechanized farming, go and practice the little ones. Then you can also tell these boys to go and bring their products, you check it. If there's any way you can finance, if there's any way you can help them, promise them crude. Come and buy at official rates. The rate I'm supposed to sell to people outside, let me sell it to you, refine it here. Cost of transportation, taking it there, bringing it back will be removed, at least. But in the very short run, because we are producing a small quantity, price may be high. But once there is competition, the price will drop. So I don't think they are considering that.
Now, still in the same light of the 40% pay increment, you know, we have the private sector and we also have the government sector. Now, if the government can possibly say, okay, we are going to increase your pay by 40%, it's a good news for people working with the government sector.
Can I tell you one thing? When there's going to be increments in salaries, and you announce it before the increment, you have killed the increment.
How is that so?
Yes, because in Nigeria we work on speculation a lot. Immediately it's announced, all the informal sector, they will change their prices. We are discussing 40% now. If we say it's coming up April, the prices has changed. Very many economies, countries, they don't go into prolonged negotiation. When they discuss, even they have periods where there's a way they calculate. You check the rate of change in things, then use it to a kind of prepare down the rate of change in wages, so that they will not even know when it's changing. It's okay because we notice the economy is changing. Then the people working, people that are actually running this economy, we have also changed their earning. Overnight, people have started earning. Before you know that, people start adjusting. It becomes easy. But by the time you are now, since last year, early last year, you want to increase, and you never increase. How is it possible that you're actually going to increase and it's going to be meaningful? That has been the problem. If the labor minister, he knows what is happening, then he should liaise with the managers of the economy to find out what is the rate of change. Then if the rate of change is very high, and he sees the impact on the people, the income of the people, then he will think of increasing it even without much negotiation. The ones they increased before, the minimum wage, a lot of them are not earning it. Then the arrears, they have not paid.
True.
So which one are they increasing again? Nobody even believe that it will come up. It's only in the market they believe it will come, and they've adjusted the prices. People that will earn, like myself, I work with the federal government. If you tell me they want to increase salary, I say I want to wait. Let me see it first, because I'm not sure whether it will come in. So those are the problems we are having. And once you are having that mind like that, working with such mind, you are not sure. That means you don't have good trust on the government. Eventually, it's going to impact on your productivity. A lot of people are thinking of alternatives. Even labor minister mentioned, are saying lecturers should go back to farm. The implication is that the issue of research, the issue of development, they should abandon it and start doing other things. And he does not understand the implication.
Now the question is this: let's say, as you have said, we are not sure, but let's say it comes to actualization that the government parastatals agree to make the 40% increment pay. How is it going to be applicable with the private organizations? And is there a place in the law that says the government must compel them to agree with it?
No, government cannot compel private sector to apply. Government will only give a rule. Like when they say minimum wage, if you say minimum wage is 18,000 naira, if I employ a house help, do I have 18,000 naira to pay the house help? Is the government coming to pay? Is there enabling infrastructure to?
But the problem there is both the person earning the increment and the person that is less earning less, they are going to the same market.
Yes.
So how does this really make sense?
Wait, the market is open for all.
Of course.
And the market over time can adjust. So if, like now, like this one you just mentioned now, like now, all the state governments, they are not paying equal. Some are paying below minimum. Some are even ahead of that minimum before the announcement of the minimum wage. Are we not going to the same market? Everybody cannot pay equally. Like in Nigeria today, you will see some people that take, when they start as their first income is close to 250,000, 300,000. But you see some that has worked for more than 20 years. They are not earning up to that. It is still in the same economy. when you say minimum wage is 30,000, some already earning 200 and something thousand. All of us are still in the same economy. You can't force private sector to pay what they don't have, unless you want to subsidize. If you want to subsidize, the government should pick up the difference between what they can pay and the minimum wage they set. So there is no economy that can actually enforce the payment of minimum wage on the private sector. Though there are some private sectors you can regulate if government has interest in it. Eventually, government may like to pick up the difference. There is what is called setting of price ceiling and price floor. The price floor is you can't pay less than this, you know. Then the price ceiling is the minimum. This is the minimum you can pay. So that is the maximum you can pay. As it is, it's only on few occasions that government can come up with such. You can't apply it in an economy like ours. It's only some socialist economies that they can do that. But a capitalist economy like ours, a mixed economy like ours, you can't enforce it. If you know the number of people working within the informal sector that are earning less than 10,000 naira a month, you'll be surprised. So majority of the population, when you are talking of minimum wage, you're talking of minimum wage for government staff. You only look at some organizations that are large enough. Government is checking through their record and see that their earning is high. Then check through their tax records, they see that it's high. They will go and negotiate with them that they should try to enforce it. Then labor union, they will also go through the labor union. Members of the labor union will know in their own parastatal how much they are earning. Like here, if they are unionized, you should know whether you are making money or not. If you are not making money, will you enforce your CEO to increase your salary? It will be very difficult. And government cannot tell him to pay when the money is not there. Or if government tells him to pay, automatically government is saying shut down, don't do anything again. And that means you are running down the economy. So government cannot enforce it fully because they are not the one in charge of all the economy. The private sector, majorly we have private, that is private sector control a lot, and the informal sector in Nigeria is too large. So that's it.
I've been thinking and considering the incoming government. Okay. Now, somehow the present government tend to, I don't know if it was intentional, tend to push this removal to June when the incoming government should actually take over. Yes. So it's out of curiosity. Nigerians have so many issues plaguing them at this point. And then the first thing an incoming government will come to face will be the issue of subsidy removal. Is it really reasonable again?
Okay. Let me put this in this way. In every government, there's supposed to be succession plans. And the government is a continuum. We are supposed to have a system of government that as one person is going, the other person continue from where the other one stops. But it's not like that in Nigeria, because we politicize a lot of things. We have a lot of very many ethnic divides. Sometimes, for the sake of quota, we want to do quota. We don't employ best hands. We employ people from different geographical regions. Eventually, we kind of jettison quality for favoritism to make sure that we have a balance. If for any government budget or any government plan, could be long-term or short-term plan, the plan is for government, and anybody that step in, he step in because it's elected to continue from where the other person stopped. But where you start thinking that, am I going to pay their debt? Like what is happening in state governments today. Any state governor that is coming in, we tell them stop all projects before they even swear me in. Even you are not sworn in yet. You have stopped projects, you have stopped expenses, you have stopped plans, to the extent that governments will say anybody you employ within this period, I'm going to stop them, and they will apply it. So is it different from military dictatorship? It's not. We are not running democracy very well. For them, if they are just coming in, if subsidy removal is going to be favorable to Nigerians, why can't they continue with it? If it's not going to be favorable, they can still discuss it. So the timing for the subsidy removal, if whether it's intentional or not intentional, it is the economic team must have met, they must have discussed, then the budget team must have met and discussed, and they fix certain dates. They did not fix it for the person come because they don't know who was coming at that particular time. So anybody can come, and the person is supposed to start from where the previous government stopped. Remember, we have employees of government, very many. A new government cannot come and drop all of them. You are going to continue from where others stop. If Nigeria is in debt, you continue from there to see how to correct the wrongs there. If Nigeria is enjoying very good standard, you continue from there too, and that's how it's supposed to be. I don't think is going to be a problem, unless they are still going to politicize
the oil sector in Nigeria is one that is tagged with corruption and every form of irregularities. Now we have the current administration that's ruled for 8 years. It made me to ask the question: do you think they did anything better? Do you think
compared to the previous governments?
Maybe comparable to the previous government, but we don't want to compare.
I think that should be what we should be doing here.
I don't want to compare them, but do you think they did anything significant, anything positive?
Yeah, in a cursory look at the economy year in, year out, I think to some extent the government tried. You can't rule it out totally. Before 2015 or so, all this railway that we are seeing, they were not in existence. Road network infrastructure, they tried, the government tried. Then I think there are some areas that he tried. He tried on security too. He tried, but because his promise was so big, we could not see his efforts. You know, when you promise that you can scale a height, you identify the height, then at the end people see you crawling, they'll be wondering what happened. So he actually tried, but what he did not show up at all. Both in security, you just mentioned of oil sector with a lot of corruption. It's not oil sector, all sectors of the economy. Corruption is a sector. Economy.
I think that's a very big one.
Yes, it's a sector in the economy. That is why fighting it is becoming an issue. They have to create institutions to start fighting
that sector to fight it.
Yes.
So now, talking about the corruption and everything, on paper, it looks so beautiful that, okay, when this subsidy is removed, we are all going to enjoy it, the economy will boom, a lot of infrastructure will come into place. But now, in reality, who does really benefit from subsidy removal?
Subsidy removal, who benefits? Yeah, let me put it in different ways. Initially, that is from the first instance, once subsidy is removed, it's supposed to make available those funds that was used for subsidy. It's supposed to be available for the government to redistribute in terms of infrastructural development, in terms of anything they can do to ease the burden of the system. That is the first one. Then if it now generates funds for the government, the application of that fund is supposed to go to encourage the system, to encourage manufacturing, to encourage agriculture, to encourage again modular refineries and the petroleum sector, so that the whole system can kickstart again. So the eventual beneficiaries are the Nigerian populace, because fuel subsidy has created very large gap in income inequality in Nigeria. It has almost totally eroded the middle class. We don't have middle class again. We have only the poor,
rich and the poor.
And the rich. The very, very rich and the poor. That's what we have. So, and the rich are oppressing the poor. Then the poor also oppressing the rich. The poor oppress the rich by insecurity. The rich oppress the poor by flamboyancy. So two of them don't go together. That is why there is always a clash. That is why even police, we advise you, if you have anything flashy, don't bring it for public clear. Why did you buy it in the first place if people cannot see it? Because you are just showing your wealth while the other person has not eaten.
The truth is, sometimes it's hard to believe the populace are the major beneficiary in this as this.
Yeah.
Now, just the recent policy, I always want to fall back to that because it's the most recent policy. Like you said, we are still trying to scale through.
We are still trying to, very much trying.
It was said to benefit the populace. We saw how it went. Mr. Felix, it did not exactly benefit the populace.
Let me still repeat what I said earlier.
Before you say what you want to say, I want to make it known. If in the light of it's going to benefit the populace, the populace were unable to lay their hands on the new Naira notes.
Okay.
They were unable, but we saw on televisions, we saw on clips, the rich squandering the new Naira notes. So if it's for the general populace, of course, the people that are much in the population is the poor. Now, if it's for the populace, the poor ones, how come they are the one at the receiving end?
More of the receiving end. Now we talk about subsidy.
Okay, let me
add into that question.
Information, please. Okay, information.
Okay.
There is what is called lag in policy implementation. Lag. There is an identification lag of the policy of the problem. Then when they are implement, before it start yielding result, there is also lag. So these different lag in the first, or I always say it, in the short run, there is going to be a lot of pressure in the economy. So immediately the pressure came, then there was a fight against it. Immediately, the poor, they were already down because of that. A lot of small scale industries could not cope again. In Nigeria, we have informal sector, the nano, the micro sectors. They don't use, a lot of them don't even have a word to use in accessing funds outside. So such businesses started closing and having problems. Those are teething problems. Those are short-term problems. But after that, when things regularize, they are supposed to benefit from it. It's just like saying, I want to drop this building so that I'll build another one. After removing the roof, they say stop removing it. Then you'll be sleeping inside like that. That's what we are passing through. Assuming they allow the system to run, if the roof is removed, that they want to put another roof, why can't they wait for them to put another roof? Why will you stop a system that they've withdrawn a lot of money from circulation and they've even announced that it has been destroyed? Where do you expect to get from? The new ones that you are supposed to print is not being financed as expected. How do you want to do it? The CBN cannot do it only on their own. If the system says stop, CBN governor is a human being. He will wait. He will only preach. If you refuse, very soon, if it goes home, he will carry his bag. He's not the first CBN governor. He will carry his bag and go back. Let them bring another person to still try. You know, when you send somebody an errand, allow him free hand to work so that he will come back to give you results. But when you give him, like now, when this problem started, the poor started suffering it immediately, because the poor that go to bank every day, the rich call and they send their money and they do their transfers. That the very rich. How many times I can remember? There was a time I was a manager in a bank. I was a manager. I was packaging a loan that was 5 million naira. 5 million loan took me more than 2-3 weeks. But somebody, a very rich man, came to process 2 billion. He got it within 1 day. So am I going to say because of that I will stop what I'm doing? No, because he has a muscle at that particular level. But if we continue, if they approve the 5 million for this, approve 5 for the other one, all of them together is more than that one for the rich. As it starts happening immediately, those ones selling akara cannot do transfer. Their businesses start going down because they don't have cash to go and buy. Those ones selling pop have problem. People going to eat is an issue. Then we are saying, okay, with time, after withdrawing, as they are bringing in new notes, things will regularize. Over time, things regularize. Assuming they continue to push in the new notes, then by now things would have regularized. How many old notes have they pushed in? Do we have enough cash now that to stop it? We don't have.
Right, thank you very much, Felix, EJEH, for joining us on Daybreak.
It has really been a wonderful time.
I really hope adequate tools are put in place for so as there's a policy to benefit the populace, of course. Now, viewers, heard it all from our economist. At this point, we're heading over to Lagos studio, and I remain Ezekiel.
I will say once again, have a wonderful day ahead. Enjoy the rest of the program. I am Michael OBAGIRI.
Thank you.